Days turned into weeks, and with each passing sunrise, the tension within the village grew thicker. The elders spoke in hushed voices around the fire at night, and the air felt heavy with the unknown. Then one day, they arrived, Leopold's men, led by the infamous explorer Henry Morton Stanley. His name was already whispered through the villages, carried by travelers and messengers. They said he had charted rivers no one dared cross, and now he had come to chart the fate of the Congo. Stanley and his expedition arrived on the shores of the Congo with wide smiles and baskets of gifts, bright beads, mirrors that sparkled in the sunlight, and colorful fabrics. But behind their friendly faces, Nala and Kato saw something darker, something hungry. Greed, disguised as generosity. The air buzzed with an unspoken threat. Stanley's mission, under the orders of King Leopold II, was to claim the Congo. Their presence was masked as a noble endeavor, a mission of peace and civilization. But Nala and Kato knew better. They could feel the true purpose beneath the surface, like the crocodiles that lurked beneath the waters of the river, waiting to strike. From the safety of the trees, Nala and Kato crouched low, their bodies hidden beneath the thick, leafy canopy. Their eyes were locked on the strange boats gliding silently up the Congo River. The boats were unlike anything they had ever seen before. Massive wooden monsters that sliced through the water, their sails billowing like ghostly wings. Men with long oars paddled in unison, while others stood at the helm, guiding the vessels forward with a quiet, eerie determination. The men aboard wore strange, heavy clothing that shimmered in the sunlight, and many carried long, shining objects, rifles, the elders had called them, weapons capable of death from a distance, weapons of destruction. The boats came closer, and Nala felt a deep chill run down her spine, a coldness that clung to her like a mist. She glanced at Kato, whose face was twisted with worry, his brow furrowed as he watched the invaders approach. There was no mistaking it now. These men were here for more than trade.
Look at their weapons. They bring nothing but destruction.
They speak of treaties, but their eyes tell a different story. They are not here to trade, Kato. They are here to take what is ours.
Nala's words hung heavily in the humid air, lingering like the tension that gripped their hearts as they continued to watch from their hidden perch in the thick jungle. Stanley's boats docked on the muddy riverbank with a slow, deliberate grace, the sound of wood scraping against the earth sending a shiver through the trees. His men, moving with practiced efficiency, began unloading crates filled with bright trinkets, beads that shimmered in the sunlight, and strange supplies that the villagers had never seen before. They waved and smiled, their gestures overly friendly, their voices filled with false warmth, pretending to offer peace and prosperity. But Nala and Kato could see past their polished smiles and empty words. They saw the greed lurking beneath the surface, the cold calculation in their eyes. The danger that had once been a distant rumor, whispered through the villages, had now taken shape and was standing on their shores, real and menacing. The invasion had begun. The village gathered at the edge of the clearing as Stanley and his men approached, the soft murmur of whispers threading through the crowd. The air was thick with tension, almost suffocating, though the villagers, drawn by curiosity, tried to mask their unease with polite smiles and quiet observation. Stanley, with his pale skin glistening under the relentless heat of the Congo sun, stepped forward confidently, smiling broadly as if he were a friend long expected. His men followed closely behind, their arms laden with colorful trinkets and gleaming beads, presenting these offerings to the village leaders as though they were tokens of goodwill, meant to dazzle and distract. But the elders were wary, their brows furrowed in suspicion as they eyed the newcomers, their faces guarded like stone. They had seen such promises before, and they knew the danger of such gifts. Nala and Kato stood in the shadow of the trees, their bodies hidden, yet their eyes fixed on Stanley, watching every move, every gesture, waiting for the mask of kindness to slip.
King Leopold, my master, wishes to help your people. He has heard of the richness of your land and the strength of your warriors. He offers you protection from your enemies and the promise of trade, wealth, and friendship. All we ask is your agreement to allow us to stay, so we may work together.
And what do you take in return?
Only what you no longer need, your ivory, your rubber. It will bring great wealth to your people. Your village will thrive as it has never thrived before.
Stanley's words were sweet like honey, dripping with charm and promises of prosperity. But beneath the surface, Nal and Kato could taste the sharp bitterness of deceit. His voice was too smooth, his smile too wide, and they knew better than to be fooled by such empty promises. The elders exchanged wary, silent glances, their eyes betraying the growing unease they felt. They understood that the gifts laid before them, gleaming beads and trinkets, came at a steep price, one that would cost more than the village could ever afford. The Congo's vast riches, its gleaming ivory, its precious rubber, even its people were not Leopold's to take. Yet here his men stood, speaking as if they were saviors, when all they sought was to strip the land of its soul. From their hidden vantage point among the thick jungle foliage, Nala and Kato exchanged tense glances, their hearts pounding in unison with a shared sense of urgency. The elders, though wise, might not yet have seen the full picture, blinded by the promises of prosperity and the false smiles of their visitors. But Nal and Kato knew exactly what Stanley and his men were after. The so-called trade they offered was nothing more than a veiled robbery, cleverly disguised with gifts and empty words. Once these men were allowed to stay, they would sink their claws into the land and they would never leave. The Congo would be theirs to exploit until there was nothing left.
Lies. They want everything, Nala. The ivory, the rubber, even our people.
We have to act soon. If we don't stop them, the Congo will become their playground. The land, the rivers, everything we cherish, it will all be theirs.
The weight of the realization pressed down on them like a heavy storm cloud, dark and suffocating. The truth was undeniable. Leopold's men had not come to offer peace or friendship. They had come to pillage the land, to strip it of its precious riches, enslave its people, and drain the Congo of every resource it possessed until nothing remained. Nal and Kato could feel the urgency of the moment rising like a river in their chests, threatening to overflow. The time for resistance was fast approaching, and they knew they would need to act swiftly before the chance to protect their home slipped through their fingers forever. Stanley continued speaking to the village leaders, flashing his wide, practiced smile as he praised the beauty of the Congo and the strength of its people. His words were like a poisonous vine, winding their way into the hearts of the villagers, wrapping them in a false sense of security. The elders nodded slowly, torn between the allure of the gifts and the warning signs they sensed beneath the surface. The villagers, watching from a distance, murmured among themselves, uncertain of what to believe. Some were captivated by the stranger's promises, while others eyed them with suspicion. Nala and Kato could feel the divide beginning to form.
We are a proud people and we cherish our freedom. If we allow you to stay, what guarantee do we have that you will not take more than you offer?
You have my word, and the word of King Leopold. We are men of honor. We only wish to help you prosper.
Their promises are as hollow as their hearts. We must warn the others before it's too late.
As Stanley's men mingled with the villagers, Nal and Kato could see the seeds of deception being planted. The time for words was over. Soon the village would need to choose whether to trust these men or stand against them. Nal and Kato knew the truth. They had to resist, or the Congo would be lost forever.